All right, so I am live now with UFE Pro, Rob Starr. Now, those who don't know too much about this, first, welcome, Rob.
Thank you, Sean. Thanks for having me.
Those who don't know too much about how this interview process works, I actually speak with people for about 10-15 minutes before this even goes on to the air, shall we say. And I learned some cool things about Rob. Like, I didn't know too much about Rob. All I knew was he's a nice guy. He's got a team. We've talked here and there, but in the talk before this interview, I think I learned some pretty cool things that I think you guys are going to like, and we might actually have to break this into two different interviews because it seems like Rob is a treasure trove of knowledge here. And before we go on, I can assure you, Rob, I've got your name bar covering your nipples. So if you were worried about your nipples, Sean,
good. Yeah,
your name bar is covering the nipples there. So we already have some people online watching, which is awesome. Got Mike Compton saying, "Hey guys, those of you watching live, this is July 24th at 6 p.m. That's the live. Feel free to jump in with any questions you have, and we'll ask it." Okay. So Rob, I want to kind of get to you, and then if people have questions, we'll jump in and see what kind of interesting stuff pops up. But kind of the first thing is you've got experience competing with at least one other organization, right? Or is it more than one?
3.
Oh wow, 3.
Yeah, 3.
Okay. So how did you hear about us in the first place? And you've been with us now for I think 2 or 3 years. So how did you hear about us in the first place? And how do you feel about your decision to switch over to UFE now that it's 2-3 years later?
I heard about you through Dave Avery, the UFE guy. So
Mr. UFE.
Yeah, definitely. So I did 2 of Dave's shows before he got on to UFE. So he kept saying, and get over there, get on UFE, come do my show. So I didn't end up doing his show. I did Mayhem because I had people in his show. So that's what happened there.
Oh, nice. And then now we're, fast forward. It's been 3 years now, hasn't it?
October 2017.
Yeah. Okay. So it'll be 2 years. So what do you think of your decision since then? Like, what do you like about your decision? Maybe what do you dislike about your decision?
So what I love about it is the posing, the stage time, that especially my category, men's physique, full T-walk, and you can hit really good shots, just not little quarter turns and that kind of thing. You actually can hit some decently powerful shots. You're on the stage for a while. It's not just front back, and you're off. So you can really perfect really good posing. So that's number one favorite about UFE.
Awesome. So you really like that you've got the athletes have a lot of the stage time there.
And you can definitely freestyle your posing.
Absolutely.
Like other organizations, you had to have your toes pointed forward and hand on hip, and those were things that could either make or break your physique. Sometimes it could throw off your symmetry. So I definitely prefer freestyle posing in all categories. And it's the same thing even when you get into like figure, bikini. These are all T-walks, and those aren't common in some other organizations. So what I always say to my athletes is, once you can pose in UFE, you can pose anywhere, because UFE really shows you this the hardest type of posing you could ever do, creating a T-walk and smooth transitions. Going on another stage doing front and backs is not a joke, but it is very, very simple.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're seeing some of your Team Starr team on here. Actually, we got Mike, James, Christy. We got Caroline on. She hasn't commented yet, but we got a bunch of them on.
Yeah, you better be commenting.
But getting to that team, you've had incredible success with your team. Mike James is our two-time classic physique champion. You yourself, not only a UFE pro, but you were top 3 men's physique last year. Caroline Nash, Christy Elizabeth, Alexandra Portillo, like the list goes on of these people who have not just made it to the pro ranks, but they've been dominant. And you know, people don't realize how competitive UFE is. It is very competitive, but those who don't necessarily believe it, for example, we've seen Alexander recently did another organization, and she just cleaned the floor there too.
Yep.
So your athletes are the real deal. Tell us about how you grew that team, first of all.
It started with me and obviously Christy. So it was our passion together, and she really pushed me to start taking on clients and start working with people from the gym and getting them on stage. And I mean, it was her and I going to shows together, grinding it out, and that's where it really started. So she was definitely my motivation to getting a team going. So when it comes to the athletes on the team, it is they're basically just at another level, another mindset. When they come to me, I want people who are ready to get crazy conditioned. No excuses. I don't believe in refeeds and all the fun stuff that people like to say in bodybuilding, because that's, in my opinion, it can be fun and you can look okay on stage, but are you going to get into that amazing conditioning? And what I've always learned is there's a few key items when you get to the stage. Tan must be perfect. Conditioning must be perfect. Posing must be perfect. These are 3 controllable items that we can do together. So in saying that, the judging will be the judging, but you can't leave those 3 items and make mistakes with them. So you can't make mistakes with those 3 items. So they come to me, and those are the targets. So if you come conditioned on stage, your posing is amazing on stage, your tan is amazing on stage, we did our work. So I don't want people to go into shows with me. And this is just pure coaching mindset and client mindset. And we have to have a great synergy together to make this work. We both have to be in the same mindset. I don't want them to go to a show and just go, I'm just competing for competing. I want them to go in to bring their all-time best look. And that's how we've managed to do so well, is that when, say they don't place great, I don't want them to be happy about that. I don't want them to go on an Instagram rant and go ballistic and, do that kind of stuff. But if you don't feel a little bad for not winning, placing, then I don't think you did your homework, and I don't think you actually put your 100% effort into it. And at the pro level, you have to. So I usually don't like to take on people who are just kind of wanting to do a show. And that even goes for like my transformation clients as well. And they know that I put them on hardcore diets. So, they don't have cheats and they don't play around, because I want them to, you're trying to create this new mindset that I never had way back when, before I started, and I had to create it for myself. So I want them to get into that mindset where they are 100% focused. They don't need to eat cake every Friday as a refeed or a burger and fries. They're on a plan. They're on a diet. They're eating proper, healthy foods, and they're going to get in shape, and they're going to look great on stage. And that's the goal.
Awesome. You know what, Rob? I can already see that this is going to need to be broken into a 2-parter, because you're just a trust them off the team, or do you find a way to play with their psychology?
I always have this. I call it the last phone call before anything happens with finances between us. And I go over it in detail with them. Do not sign up with me unless you're ready to do this. I go, I don't want to, 2 weeks from now, a month from now, and you're MIA and You know, you're at a cottage and you're partying. Like, don't just burn money. So the real answer is, yeah, I don't work with them. It's the bottom line. I tell them to literally go to bodybuilding.com or wherever, get a free plan, or get if it's your macros plan, and work your whatever that thing is, whatever program they use to track their macros, and they do calculations all day like mathematicians. But you know, I tell them to go do that kind of thing. Just don't waste your money. And if they can stick with something like that, then maybe come back and see me, right? So it's just not, it's such a failing process. Yeah, you're going to make money out of it, but that's not what I'm in it for. That is just something that I can't handle, seeing a garbage check-in or someone just dropping out. So
yeah,
that's the answer.
I like it. It almost sounds like your mentality, and mine actually to a certain extent. It almost harkens back to the 90s.
Well, yeah.
Where things were just a lot simpler, right? It's not you know, if it fits your macros and all this funky stuff that people are coming up with. I don't know if you have people wearing bands around their legs and doing side steps around the gym. It sounds like you're one of those trainers that's back to the basics. Just follow those basics.
Yeah.
Follow those simple training plans and stick to it, and you're going to get the results. Is that right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the ones that wear bands and that, they could be sponsored, you know, and enjoying that, or just mixing it up, having fun on off season. But is that in their training program from me? No. It definitely 90s. And I mean, that was one of Ronnie Coleman's big things. He goes, when I'm dieting at 12 weeks out, I'm not refeeding. There's no cheat days. That's not the reality of it. You're dieting to get in shape. Now, just touching on, say, like the refeed, if you want to keep saying that word, but if you diet someone really hard and they're way too conditioned 3 weeks out from a show, you might have to bump up some calories. But I call that a coaching error. So, and the same thing goes if we're going along on coaching errors, like the amount of cardio. People 12 weeks out doing an hour of cardio. No, bro science. You know, now an hour of cardio, like in the person's 12 weeks out. I find that really hard on the body. They usually look a lot stringier on stage. So coaches usually abuse these tools right away because they're not doing a proper diet plan, and the word cookie cutter always comes out. So there's a compensation factor there where it's like, okay, throw fasted cardio 30 minutes in the morning, throw a 30 session a hit at night, and here we go. Hopefully those numbers are good on your numbers rather. But yeah, so
it sounds like you're like I said, a lot of the same kind of thoughts I have, and those who haven't heard of Chris Aceto. Chris Aceto was Jay Cutler's trainer. Kind of the same mentality is that you should not be relying on cardio to lean people out. Otherwise, a lot of them end up looking pretty stringy, right? So you rely on the diet. So I'm sure you've studied some of these guys like Chris Aceto and some of these greats.
Definitely. I followed that a lot. I follow a lot of the gurus, you'll call them. I mean, they're pharmaceutical gurus too, but
yes.
You have definitely. I mean, you look at like someone like a Dexter Jackson, say, and how much cardio he did, which was like 0 till the last few years, and he obviously with great genetics, but he says that is the big factor why he's not massively injured. He didn't break down his body on both ends, so he didn't go crazy in the gym plus crazy in cardio. And I mean, that's what he thinks basically saved his joints. Because I mean, when you start getting bigger, like us small guys can handle a lot of cardio. Not us, meaning you, but me, can handle a lot of cardio on my joints, right? I'm not heavy, but you know, I'm not going to look good. I'm going to melt pretty quick, right?
Yeah. Awesome. And we it looks like we've interested people, again, more people on the other side of the world there. And Amor, who's going to be competing with us at the the European Championships is obviously checking out this interview, and hopefully, Anne, you're getting some very cool tidbits, because I know I am. And the interview is going to go a little bit of a different direction. I had a whole set of listed questions.
Yeah,
some of those will get asked. I think I'm going to skip through some of them, though. So you yourself, I'm going to get back to your team in just a bit. But you yourself, when you look at yourself, what would you say your weakest body part is?
Every body part. So that's how you should sort of look at your body. We're going to have strengths and weaknesses. So, I have people on my team that have amazing legs, someone with amazing back. Do I want to stop them from training those amazing showy body parts? No. So you want to just keep building up everything. So they're not going to gain. I mean, the difference is you hear people talk about my arms are too big or something like that. Not mine, but just someone's arms are too big. And then they take time off working on their arms to try to balance everything out. Those are people that are going to grow like, 260-pound bodybuilders. When we are what we are, and we're not getting that heavy and growing, 40 pounds of muscle a year, your show pieces, you got to keep them to be show pieces. So if you have great quads, they better be great quads. Make them greater. Plus work on your delts that are small or whatever, right? So yeah, I think if you're in bodybuilding, every body part is always can be better, could likely be more conditioned when you get to the stage. So I'm trying to improve everything in my off season, and in off seasons is usually where people let off the gas, and when they really need to step on it, because the amount of people that I see in show after show looking the same or worse, because age is coming, we're getting older, so they look the same on stage, or if not worse, because they're off season. What do? They fall back on nothing diets, don't get their protein, don't get their proper fats in, partying, drinking, whatever. They always say they got to live life. Well, we're living a different life in actual bodybuilding at like a pro level. You can live life and win some regional shows or whatever place, but when you're at like a pro level and you really want to change your physique, you have fun times, you'll have your fun little parties, but you literally got to get back on your numbers 5 days a week and really hammer it out. So it's usually that's what I always preach to my team. You got to be consistent. Bodybuilding is consistent, right? So you fall off those numbers for a few weeks and you're going to go backwards, and you're not going to be happy next year when you thought you were going to make massive improvements in this area, and they're not.
Yeah. I think that's a huge takeaway from this. UFE, for example, we've got, novice level, we've got elite level. Other organizations have, novice and open levels, I should say. Other organizations have similar levels. And, this sport should be open to everyone, just like in hockey, you can play at 50 years old, a shinny league, whatever. But as you move up the ranks, you see people get disappointed at shows that are at the elite or the pro level. They're all upset because they trained hard for 14 or maybe even 16 or maybe even 20 weeks. And they get clobbered by somebody who dieted, or stayed consistent throughout the off season. That's what a lot of people forget, is this is like any sport, and you won't see somebody like, Derek Jeter, for example, in his off season, he didn't just do nothing, right? These guys are training. Like a Wayne Gretzky, he didn't just do nothing in his off season. All these athletes have an off season where they're training. They're not stepping, or they're not letting off the gas. So if you want to get to that highest level, for sure you need to have a strong off season. That means staying consistent, means having a plan all the time. So I really like that you brought that up, Rob. Now, getting back to that, I asked you what was your weakest body part, and you kind of said everything. And then I've got my own philosophy on my own training. So, for example, if somebody goes, Sean, what's your weakest body part? It's chest. So what do I do with it? I work it out twice a week. Every other body part, I blitz them hard just once a week. Now I know I've read some books where, guys are doing every body part twice a week. But for me, I find that, especially as a natural athlete, the recovery isn't there. So everything is once a week, except for the chest, where I'll do it, in the middle of the week and the end of the week. What are your thoughts on that? Do you have a body part that you focus on more than others? And what do you think of that philosophy I just threw at you?
If you're sore working out a sore muscle, obviously that doesn't make any sense, right? So if you recover your chest and you can hit it twice a week, amazing. You're going to have, this is not to you, but anyone, if they do a body part twice a week, and this 1 or 2, 3 weeks go by and they can hit it twice a week, but on that fourth week it's sore, well, I don't want them to hit that body part again. So you got to really listen to your body. It depends on your sleep, your nutrition at that time, how quick you're going to recover. That's what it's going to depend on there. So what I would do for me, if I needed to bring up a body part, say I had say I have like really small delts, I can go and hit them 3 times a week. If they're very small muscles, they're going to recover really quick. But as they start growing, and a lot of my females learn this when it comes to glute training, I can hit them 3 times a week with them when they have really small, nothing glutes. As they start growing and that muscle starts getting bigger, I mean, you understand how much more damage is happening to a larger muscle. Now it gets cut back to 2 times a week. At that point, you might only be able to hit glutes once a week in the future, because those glutes are so strong. And this goes for every body part, that there's so much muscle. You're creating so much trauma there. To repair that muscle is going to take a whole week. And that's what we all want to get into. We want to get into, if we could only hit it once a week, because that muscle's so big and it does so much damage. We may never get there, but that's what my ultimate goal is. So right now I'm hitting shoulders twice a week, and they're recovering quick enough. Couldn't hit them 3, and twice a week is sometimes sketchy. Where if it's a bit sore, I might not be able to hit rear delts or something like that. But so I definitely agree. You need to up the training on that body part until it grows. That's what the difference is. When it starts growing, you're going to start losing muscle, because I did chest way too much, because I thought I would really blow my chest up, and I would go, okay, 3 times a week. And this is like in the past, but I would go, it's like 3 times a week. Let's do this. I saw my chest getting more striated, but smaller. So it didn't look as nice, because I was literally breaking it down and never allowing it to repair itself. So I was never growing. And it's almost like that triathlon runner that you think would have massive legs because he can just run forever, and the sprinter has massive legs, right? Because the triathlon runner's on those legs forever, or the sprinter's going to burst, right?
Yeah. No, that's interesting, because it actually, the comment you mentioned about some of the smaller muscles, that you should train the smaller muscles more, that's kind of a little, that puts some of my philosophy on its head, that I would normally do something like a chest twice a week, because it is a bigger muscle group that can handle the beating a little bit more than, say, your delts, which are just little muscles that can get beat up very easily. So,
but if you had big delts, like say Mike James on the team, the world champ, then he might only be able to hit them once a week, because there's so much muscle there. So like Carolyn on my team has a massive back. You get her to do back twice a week, and that's a lot of trauma. That's a lot of damage, and she probably won't recover. So it's person to person, and that's where you look at the physique, right? And you analyze it there and go, that's your training based on that.
That's super cool. So speaking of, you mentioned recovery, and I know Anne is saying something about sleeping time. I think Mike Compton was saying something about need that recovery. So, a lot of us know that supplements help with recovery, and they can also help with results in general. My thing, going back to that 90s comment, is that there's a lot of junk on the market now, right? It's not like the days of EAS where everything is studied at a university and they're bringing out cool stuff, and Muscle Tech is publishing all these research studies of what their supplements are doing. It's just a bunch of marketing garbage out there for the most part. So people are buying this stuff based on how cool a label is, or if something has a skull and crossbones on it, or it's called Phantom, or death in a bottle, whatever it is. How do you navigate that? What are the supplements you would rely on for you and your team? Because I think a lot of people would like to kind of escape the marketing hype and get into the supplements that are on the shelves now that actually work.
Okay. So my team, when it comes to supplements, is what I'm telling them is they need a protein isolate, and this isn't a requirement, but if they want to use a shake, it's got to be a pure isolate for competition prep. Off season, if they want to play around with pre-workouts and all the other chemical warfare, then do whatever you want. If you're not on plan with me, you do whatever you want. Enjoy the fun flavors and, like you said, all the death skulls and whatever, the fancy packaging. But when you're on plan, contest prep, zero supplements. I don't even use BCAAs. They're a waste, in my opinion. And I've been through the supplement gauntlet, probably like you have too, where you've tried everything and, whatever. Creatine even. Is it useful in a contest prep? If you're talking 0.001% on some of these items, they're not worth it to me. So I got to see real results out of stuff. So in UFE, you're allowed to use ephedrine and caffeine, right? At a certain amount. But are they make it or break it supplements? I have clients that don't want to use any caffeine. Maybe they'll have a coffee before and just have the caffeine from that, or nothing because they just don't like caffeine. I have clients that hate the feel of ephedrine, so they don't use it. These are not going to get you into ridiculous shape using like an ECA stack. You don't need it. It's just not even a part of the game. So a lot of people rely on that. That's a big thing. I like to use it personally. Like I like ephedrine, but it's not used for fat burning. Your diet's going to be fat burning. A calorie deficit is going to do the fat burning, right? If ephedrine does whatever, 0.2%, 0.02%, wow. Don't care. I'm not using it for that. I'm using it for the mental focus in the gym. And that's what I use that for. And the same goes for caffeine. When you're tired after a work day, yeah, I'm going to blast myself, maybe 200 milligrams of caffeine. I don't even overdo it. I'm really on the light end compared to some of these pre-workouts. So that is it for supplements. It is isolate and those two if they even want them, and the isolate if they even want them. If they prefer whole food and they want to eat, say, fish and some type of carbohydrate in the locker room after, that's fine with me. But that's why it's not a cookie cutter plan. It's what does that athlete want? What types of food do they want? And what will they stick to during their prep? So it's got to be an enjoyable plan.
So you would say a protein powder, a protein isolate would be a staple?
It would be a staple for me, but I have lots of clients that don't want anything to do with them. Oh, wow. They hate the taste of them, and that will not impact their conditioning on stage if they diet properly. So I'm not worried about it. It's just, for me, it's convenience. It's that gets me from point A to point B when I'm done working, shower at the gym, getting home. It's my bridge between that.
Yeah.
I see a question.
Yeah, so I see Anne's asking something before that, more to the, because omega-3, magnesium, those are a little bit more kind of mainstream micronutrients and stuff.
Yeah, the omega-3 one's good. You actually have to factor that is usually like a gram of fat per capsule. If it says 1,000 milligrams, there it is. So wow, you have there's 9 calories, say. So some people want that. Do I put it in their plan? Only if they want it. If someone's eating proper salmon and getting their omegas, say omega-3 eggs and such, do I really need to dose them with omega-3 supplements? Not really. So the average person, which is probably not a lot of people listening to us right now, where they need to supplement. They wake up in the morning, have a muffin and a coffee, and that's maybe what they have. At lunch, they'll have a sandwich with some bologna or something, and at night they'll have pizza with their family. Okay, they need multivitamins, and they need to dose themselves with things that they're not getting. So as the athletes in here, do they really need it? I've taken omega-3s because like I said, I've been through the supplement gauntlet for years. I've been off them now for years. Do I see any difference in my body, physique, anything? Not really. Zero difference. And so that's kind of where I go with that. There's a lot of stuff being pushed onto the market, and where are the results? And we can't consider our group as like the UFE and competitors as normal people, because you're not. You know, you should be eating healthy all the time, with the exception of weird off-season fun days. But other than that, you guys, you know, everyone's eating proper healthy foods. So you're getting your vitamins, minerals, your micros.
Yeah, very cool. Now, I guess one last supplement I'd want to ask you about, because I'm kind of with you. I myself, I take protein. That's kind of been, you know, staple of the industry since the dawn of, you know, supplements. Creatine, sometimes I'll take a pre-workout that's got a creatine in it, and it's got the caffeine just for a little fun. And then other than that, there's not too much on the market out there that is good. But what about glutamine? Because a lot of these so-called gurus say glutamine is fantastic for recovery. And I know some of the biggest ones in the natural sport world say glutamine's almost a necessity if you want to recover properly from your workouts. So what is your thought?
If I got to choose between glutamine and sleeping an extra 15 minutes, I'd take the sleep. Because I went down on this glutamine rabbit hole where I was like, okay, this is the thing. This goes back years ago too. And I would add it to everything. Like I would overdose myself probably in it. Then I tried lower. And so I went around with it. Did it do anything that I could even measure? If I had a hard workout that day, I'm going to be sore the next day. And how can you measure how much that glutamine is taking away the recovery and soreness? If you're fired up and you have the greatest workout, you're probably going to be sore that next day. I could have a garbage workout, take glutamine and go, wow, it recovered me. So I kind of look at it. It's another non-measurable supplement that I don't see a benefit, and it's just money out of your pocket. I'd rather you go and buy some healthy vegetables and healthy meats and not meddle with this kind of stuff. It's just, there's no value. If you just like to pour powder into cups and drink them, then have fun. But that's not what I would ever have on a plan.
Yeah. So, you know, I think we're starting to see kind of an overarching philosophy that you have here. If I was to say anything, it's pretty, you know, keep it simple, work the basics, you know, pretty hardcore mentality, and you know, no hocus pocus. It's like we're eating proper food, we're training hard. There's none of this new age weird, you know, bro science coming into it. So I encourage those of you who are kind of wondering about, you know, what kind of results Rob gets, check out some of the people he is training. You'll see him posting on the team Starr. I'll just put that up once again, just so you can see some of these athletes, because it is interesting. The philosophy differs from mine to a certain extent, but I can see a lot of the parallels as well. So it's very cool talking to you about that. Now, one thing I didn't really have in my questions when I passed them to you before, and we talked about it though a little bit about we talked about it a little bit before we got on the air here. You were saying something about peak week and how you love to talk about that kind of stuff. So I guess I'm going to lead you a little bit. Peak week, there's a few techniques out there. One would be carbohydrate depletion and load. 2 would be sodium depletion and load. And 3 would be water depletion, or water load and depletion kind of. So what are your thoughts on the 3, and how often do you use them with your team?
Water is probably the funniest one. So, because I've done it, Christy's done it. And this is in we'll call them our rookie years, way back when we were listening to the bro science. So it's still kind of, we have to bite our tongue sometimes because we have a lot of posing clients that come in here that aren't our clients, and they will talk about how they're going to drop water and just look amazing on stage. And I thought the same thing back in the day when I did even my first show, the first Dave Avery show there again. I went, oh yeah, dandelion root, or whatever type of herbal supplement, watertight at the time, that kind of stuff. You're going to wake up just peeled. And that doesn't happen. And so you can't do a water manipulation and lose body fat. So the people that always do water cutting and loading, not always, let's say 99.9% are not in shape. So I don't want to go into too much detail about the water process, but it is not the way to do it in a natural bodybuilding world. So I would definitely strongly not recommend it. So going into sodium.
So someone though, like our Mike James, the men's physique or men's classic physique champion, with all these funky striations he has, the guy's like ripped out of his face. Do you do any water manipulation with him, for example?
So when Mike and I talk about training, which is every minute of every day pretty much, but that was a big thing. He did shows before we met. I've done shows before we met. We both did the water. And that was the thing. Every bro science coach tells you to do water, manipulate water, cut water, water load, water cut. And we both look like garbage on stage. So, you're never going to achieve a proper pump on stage. It's just not the way it's going to work. So the guys that are cutting water are using pharma to do it properly. And they're using a lot of different things, okay, that we're not using. So to do that in a natural world is just not going to be good. If you're a bikini girl and you want to come in really flat, and you want to do that, you're going to have, zero pop to your glutes, zero shoulder fullness, we'll say. But it's just not the right thing to do. So would Mike cut water? No, never. Would anybody on my team ever cut water? Never. Water cutting is dangerous. You hate the day. I hope my team, I usually see them, they're backstage, they're happy after, they're eating, they're fine. There's no issues the next morning after the show. I used to go and have migraines. So did Christy. We used to, you would be water cutting. Of course you're going to have headaches and you're not going to enjoy the competition day. Your posing's not going to be as smooth. You're not going to be as happy. You're dying of thirst, sort of. And it's all unnecessary. So that's my methodology. There could be a coach, there could be a billion coaches that will probably disagree with that and do that. And you could have I call it the 1 out of a million chance where he's going to wake up or she's going to wake up and look better. But I'm not willing to take that risk in a 12-week prep with somebody and roll the dice with that. So that's water. That's the water. Do you want me to get?
So we've heard it out of the horse's mouth there, so to speak. If you want to look like crap on stage and you want to hate contest day, then you do the water.
But anyways, I've looked like that on a few shows.
Okay, awesome.
There's the sodium one you talked about, right?
Absolutely.
Sodium's a good one because I went really deep into this one, and we're just gonna. I know I'm rambling like crazy here. So the issue with sodium is your body does not react to sodium right away. So there's so many things that have to happen before that for your body to recognize and be able to replace sodium. So to time sodium out is not going to happen for most people. Like you'd have to be doing like urine samples and stuff to really properly do that. So these people, again, just like the water cutters, are not in shape. They're not ready. So they're going with the peak week disasters. I just saw two comments. I didn't read the first one.
Oh, it was just Anne from France there was saying she tried the water 2 years ago and lost her shoulders and fainted.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, like, but you talk to, I'm not even going to say 90%. I'm going to say like 98% of coaches will say water cut. And this even goes into pro leagues where they can use Pharmata to properly cut water. And most coaches now, real good coaches, don't do it a lot of times because it's right when you do it, you pull the trigger. So when you cut water out of somebody, there's no returning. It's over. If you overdid it, you're done, right? Like the body is going to react this way and you're not going to turn that around. And that's even with people that do like that are in like the heavy leagues that are not natural, right? They're done. They're going to be flat and they're not going to look great. So yeah, she would lose her shoulders, and I've seen people just not have a good day. And the whole point of that day is to have an amazing day. You're having to see your family and friends and that, and then you're just kind of a non-happy person to be around. So no. I don't. And there's one other. I think there's one other comment that popped up.
Yeah, Alexandra was saying no need for unnecessary extremes with proper diet. So
Yeah, and she knows it. She lives it, living it, and yeah, a lot of people do these crazy extremes because they don't put in the work in that whole 12, say 11 weeks, and they have that 1 week left to go, and it's like we're behind.
yeah. Yeah, and Mike Compton is kind of with you on that. He says, I believe enhanced athletes benefit from water cut. Natural athletes don't do well with it. So yeah, no, interesting opinions there. It looks like you're kind of on the no side for sodium as well, kind of the same type of reasons. Just people kind of don't really know what they're dealing with. They've just heard it from other people and tried themselves.
And then your last one was carbs, right?
Yeah, carbs or fat, like that kind of macronutrient manipulation.
We won't get into the whole week of that, but I just wanted to get into the night before because this is always a classic. Is they've ate a certain food for 12 weeks in their diet, and then the night of, coach says it's time to have some red wine, cheesecake, burgers, fries, whatever to carb them up, and the stomach issues that happen are pretty wild. So that's super common. And it's super common the morning of too, where they have like a full big breakfast. And these people, coaches, are risking their clients maybe looking 2% better or looking, 50% worse. You're playing Russian roulette with the body. And that's one thing that I'm very strong against on my team, as they know, because they all see everyone else enjoying food and going buck wild the night before. Well, the show isn't done. The show is done Saturday night, and that's when you can enjoy your food. So, yeah, we have like a little bit of a saying on our team where we just no bubble guts. We do not want to see that on stage, right? Any abdominal distension is that's not bodybuilding. Everything ties into your core. So it's definitely a big deal there. So we do not like that. We do not like that. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're at 45 minutes, and I don't think I've even really scratched the surface. So, and we can see all these comments, and this is just on the live. Never mind, the people that are going to watch this on replay. So, pretty pumped for what you've said. I think a lot of people have appreciated the knowledge. And I think, like I said, we'll cut this and we'll make this a two-parter. But yeah, no, it's interesting, the philosophy, because I've even I still train people. It's something I'm passionate about. It's kind of how I got started in the industry, and I've got my own philosophies. And it's interesting because I've got a client that passed over to Team Starr as well, and she talked to me about the different philosophy, and it definitely is that hardcore philosophy. And I'd say, for athletes that are, or for people that are doing this just as a goal, you're out of shape, and then you want to get on stage and show that you lost 20 pounds, or you're doing this for fun. You don't really care about how you're doing. That's one thing. But I think your attitude and the way you coach people really is there for the people that treat this like a sport. And I think, like I said, anything, hockey, baseball, you can do the shinny leagues, or you can treat it like a real sport and get up to the elite. So it sounds like that's kind of the mentality that Team Starr has, and it shows because, I don't know if you're training anybody that's not now a pro with UFE, or at least elite. Like they're just all kicking ass, for lack of a better word. So, congratulations to you as a coach. Congratulations to your team. I think it was very informative. Before I let you go, is there anything else though that you think we should leave out knowing?
I got to say the one thing that my team's been bugging me about. That they said, you have to say this when you talk to Sean.
Okay.
In the Pro League, for the top 3, they wanted to see, with all your powers, that if you could move the top 3 into the center for the final pose. And if that doesn't happen, it doesn't happen this year, next year, forever. But we like to see some movement at the pro level. I mean, being stuck on a wing and looking at shows, trying to judge them is very difficult when you see a lineup of 10. And right away, we all can spot the top 3, top 5-ish, moving them closer together, looking at them side by side, and going, those are your winners. That's fine in the Pro League. I understand in like a regional type open show, you can usually spot the winner right away because there's usually levels to this game where you see someone ultra conditioned, amazing, ridiculous posing. But when it goes to pro, they expect that are all supposed to be good.
Yes. There you go, Alexandra.
She cut me off, but that's perfect. That's perfect because I was rambling anyways.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. So we have heard that before.
Yep.
We've heard that before with the pros, is that we'd love to see it like they do at the at the IFBB level, where somebody that they think is near the top, they're coming into the center, and then they're being flanked by the other people that might be in the top. So that is one way to look at it. And I wouldn't mind people jumping in on the comments, whether you're watching the Facebook Live or whether you're watching the YouTube replay. Jump in on the comments. So the reason we haven't done that yet is mainly because we want to keep it more of a mystery to the audience who's going to win. So most people know that, okay, when that person gets moved into the center, they're probably going to win.
In the Pro League, it's I think that even if say you had a lineup of 10 girls and say the bikini class, they go to the back and they pull out even the top 3, just comparing them by themselves for a second, something like that. There's a lack of mystery somewhat, but it's in the Pro League and they're literally getting awards within an hour or 2 hours, right? Because we're in the night show. So, and most people wouldn't even understand what's going on in bodybuilding shows half the time. They're just cheering for their son, daughter, husband, wife, whatever, right? And they're just enjoying the show. But in the Pro League, you can be a bit more savage in the Pro League because it's, like these people are giving it their all. In the open one, you have the pre-judge in the morning, and then you have the night show. So they kind of know who won, right? And that's what you're saying. You already know the top 5, top 3, and then someone will get sad all day.
Yeah, exactly. And then we've seen it, right? No matter what organization it is, they'll do the comparisons and they move somebody to the center, and then somebody gets second call out, and they just don't even show up for the finals, right? Whether it's UFE or whatever other organization.
Yep.
So, it's just kind of, it's a little bit not sportsmanlike, but
definitely
kind of understood. So I guess we're going to leave everybody with that, right? So we've heard Team Starr's case, that, especially at the pro level. Yeah. Let's move some of the top athletes in towards the center, maybe even have the top 3, 5 kind of, in their own separate lineup. The case against that we've always kind of maintained is that it for the crowd and even for some of the other pros is it kind of eliminates the mystery. And we think that the pro league is very, very tight, especially in a category like bikini or fitness model. It's really tight. So when you take away that mystery, it's kind of like, So that's kind of our case. We've heard it eloquently expressed by Rob on the other case.
I just think they just need a good look at the top 3 for sure, because they usually stand out like crazy. And you want to see the pictures after. You want to see, hey, why did I lose to that person beside me? And when you're comparing them front, back, or quarter turns, it's an easy comparison. And then at least you're not going, well, the judges screwed me. No, that girl did look way better than you. But if you're second from the left and then she's 10th from the 10th, you have so many people in between, angles start coming into play. And so that's kind of more personally for a coaching way to look at it and going, no, she beat you clearly, or no, you definitely dominated that. Yeah. Oh, well, you're still going to be mad if you never win. If you're first, you're last, right? But at least it gives that person, wow, that girl's glutes were way better. Her quads were way better, right? But I can really see it because she's right beside me.
Yeah. Rob's reading it.
Oh, she agrees with you.
She's basically saying it keeps them on their toes if they don't know where they've placed.
Well, so my thing is they know where they placed usually because they can see by the conditioning, by the posing. I mean, you just know. I know when I'm not looking great and this girl or guy is just crushing. So,
yeah. Mike asks, how close are the overall scores on the pro stage and comparing, say, the top 5? So what I would encourage everybody to do is on our website, you can go to, I believe it's about UFE, but you'll be able to see past results. Click on it and you can actually see the scores from the last 3 years of shows, including our pros. So to answer your question in short, Mike, it's they're some of them are very razor thin, like between first and third is like less than 1 point. So check it out for yourself. That might help inform your opinion. But I think Rob's obviously expressed his opinion well, and it's something that we've actually thought of ourselves too. It's like that kind of would be cool for the showdown aspect of things. So yeah, we'll leave it for more of the audience to kind of pick up on and let us know what they think. But yeah, 55 minutes into it, and I still haven't talked about, a lot of the psychology that goes into this, more of the training philosophy. So somebody else already said, can't wait for part 2. I can't wait for part 2 either. So we're going to figure that out after, Rob, and then we will come back for a part 2, whether it's next week or a few weeks from now. We're definitely going to do it. All right. Until then, Mr. Starr, thank you very much for your time and your insights. And judging by the reactions in the comments, it looks like everybody else has appreciated it.
Awesome.
And those of you who don't know, if you haven't guessed already, Rob is going to be competing at the UFE World Championships again on November 9th in Toronto. And we've got now your client, Mike James, is a defending champion, 2-time defending champion.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
We're looking for Rob himself to move into either the second or top spot to better his performance over last year. And we've got some heavy hitters on Team Starr that are part of that. So you can follow them on Instagram to see some of those heavy hitters that we're talking about. All right, Rob, thanks so much, my friend. Until next time.
See you.
Okay, take care.
Bye.